Welcome to The Shoreline, brought to you by Shores and Islands, Ohio, where finding your Lake Erie love is a sure thing. Thank you for joining us. I am your host, Jill Bauer, PR Manager for Shores and Islands, Ohio. We bring you The Shoreline every week to give you the inside scoop on what's happening here in our island and coastal communities. Welcome to the program today. We are midway through the month of April already. Hope you got your taxes done. That's coming up this week. One of my kids is on spring break this week, so I know that spring breaks are still in full swing with the Easter holiday coming up this weekend. If you need an easy spring break getaway, Shores and Islands, Ohio is your ideal destination. Just a few weeks ago, I worked with an online content creator. Her name is Coffee and Confetti Mom, and she's out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, and she has 3 teenage boys. Her family of 5 was able to easily hop in the car, drive 2.5 hours to Shores and Islands, Ohio, where her family had a blast and made some real memories. Their easy peasy getaway included a stay at Kalahari Resort and Indoor Water Park, some playtime at Adventure Play Indoor Inflata Park and Ghostly Manor Thrill Center, plus several stops on the new Shores and Islands, Ohio Sweet Treats Trail. We have had both Kalahari and Adventure Play on the podcast earlier this year, so go back a few episodes if you want to know more about both of those locations. And stay tuned because Ghostly Manor Thrill Center is coming up in just a few weeks. Planning a Shores and Islands, Ohio getaway is easy. Just head to our website, shoresandislands.com, and you can bounce around between the Things to Do tab, the Seasons tab, and the itinerary ideas we've got under Plan Your Visit. The Trails pages if you want to learn more about that Sweet Treats Trail I was mentioning before. And of course, don't forget to request or download your Play and Stay guide while you're there. Also, be sure to follow along on our social media platforms. Megan is over there. She's always sharing great stuff, including links to the latest episode of The Shoreline. Today, our special guest is another location that you could easily make a great addition to your visit any time of year, especially if you like shooting sports or if you've always wanted to learn. The Civilian Marksmanship Program is a federally chartered 501c3 corporation headquartered at the Camp Perry National Guard Training Facility in Port Clinton. The organization is dedicated to the enhancement of marksmanship safety and training through competitions, clinics, and other events throughout the year in Ohio and nationwide. Joining us today to educate us all about the program and our local facility is Ashley Dugan, CMP staff writer with the Civilian Marksmanship Program. Ashley has been with the CMP for over a decade, working with the communications department and covering events at Camp Perry and across the country. If you've ever seen her on the range, you've most likely seen her with a camera in her hand, snapping photos for the CMP's publications, though most of her work is done through the written word and other supporting marketing projects, including the CMP podcast, which I actually listened to last night, Ashley.
So you and 2 other people. That's awesome. Thank you.
Well, I wanted to try to get a little bit, get to know you a little bit better, and then also, just get a little idea on what you were doing there with your podcast. And I listened to an early episode because you guys were just coming out of COVID. And I got to listen to, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he was talking about basically Marksmanship 101, some of the classes that are taught.
Yeah, that was our Steve Cooper. He was with the CMP for a long, long time, very, very popular amongst all of our competitors, and he actually retired in December. So,
see, that's how old the podcast was. I should have listened to a recent episode, but again, just trying to educate myself a little bit more on what we're going to be talking about today. So, of course, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course. I just want to kind of start with the basics. So I know I read what you all sent me about what the Civilian Marksmanship Program is, but can you maybe just explain it a little bit in layman's terms for somebody who has no idea what you guys are all about?
Sure. Yeah. So to be perfectly candid, you're not alone in that. I feel like a lot of people don't even know that we exist in general, and especially, don't know that we exist right in Port Clinton. So as you mentioned, we're a nonprofit, technically. And our mission is to promote marksmanship for civilians, so juniors, adults, and we do that through competitions that we hold on Camp Perry and in other facilities. And I can go into the facilities a little bit here in a second, just to kind of give you more of a background of the CMP in general. It's actually its roots lie back in Congress, in President Teddy Roosevelt back in 1903. when the National Board for the Promotion of Rifle Practice was created. And that entity was in charge of conducting the national matches and ensuring a venue for civilian training for decades and decades until it became the Corporation for the Promotion of Rifle Practice and Firearm Safety in 1996, which is now the Civilian Marksmanship Program as we know it today.
You also mentioned Camp Perry. That's where you guys are located. Do you know a little bit of the history of Camp Perry in Port Clinton?
Oh, gosh. So I know a tiny bit. So Camp Perry was a prisoner of war camp for World War II. They house a lot of prisoners of war. Very, very bustling, sort of its own little community back during that time period. And now a lot of those buildings are gone, unfortunately. I know back in, what year was it, 97, 98, there was a tornado that ripped through Camp Perry, took down some of those just incredible original buildings that were there. But some of the buildings are still there. Our headquarters is one of those older buildings. It's really beautiful. But Camp Perry now it's still a functioning Ohio Army National Guard facility. And it does have a little bit of a housing on there. I don't know if anyone knows this, but you can actually, anyone, the public, even though it is a National Guard facility, they have housing that anyone is able to rent any time of the year. It's beautiful. It's right along the water there.
Yeah.
There's a beach there at Camp Perry, and they're actually in the process right now of building more housing. So there are lots of opportunities to stay there if you're interested in that kind of thing.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk more about that, but let's go back first to the CMP facilities. Can you talk through what are the current facilities that are there now at Camp Perry?
As I mentioned, our headquarters is there at Camp Perry. We've been there since 1996. We employ roughly 35 individuals with more seasonal employees during the summer months when we host the national matches, which, if some of you might not know, this is another Camp Perry fact. The national matches have been held at Camp Perry since 1907. So long time, long history there.
Long time.
So actually our headquarters building actually holds some of those national matches trophies, which some of them date back to the late 1800s. And we keep those on display throughout the year. So if anyone in the public or any of your listeners are interested in that, they are welcome to come to our headquarters building and stop in and see them anytime. You can see them as you're walking by through the windows, or like I said, you're welcome to stop in and see we have a whole room of these trophies displayed, and they're very large, big. It actually takes a few of our manly men who to lift them out of the room when they need to do that. So, but they're very, very handcrafted, just very interesting pieces. If anyone's able to stop in and see those. So some other facilities that we have on Camp Perry itself is our Gary Anderson CMP Competition Center, which houses our 80-point indoor air rifle range and air gun range, I should say, air rifle and air pistol. And we also hold some laser shot simulators within that as well. A few steps away from our Gary Anderson CMP Competition Center is Petrarca Range, which is an outdoor range that features electronic targets as well. And that's open to the public on select Mondays throughout the year from March to November. And then we also have our CMP North Store at Camp Perry, which is also located on Camp Perry. It's attached to our headquarters building, and that houses equipment and like eye protection, ear protection, and that's also where we sell our vintage M1 Garand rifles, our vintage surplus rifles that we acquire from the Army, and we're able to sell those through federal law. So we have individuals from all over the country who come to our North Store just to buy those rifles, and they are assembled by our skilled armorers from our office in Alabama, and really, really interesting, even if you don't purchase anything, just to walk through. And we always say own a piece of history, and it's very true, just to go in and see these pieces. These were standard rifles during World War II. So it's really incredible that we are offering this opportunity for individuals to buy these pieces.
Well, I want to touch on the two facilities you mentioned, your Gary Anderson CMP Competition Center and the outdoor range, because you mentioned both being open to the general public. So when can the general public visit and participate, and, what do they need? Do they need to bring equipment? Do you purchase it there? Do you rent it out? How does that all work? If I've never done any kind of shooting before and I just want to come check you out.
The Gary Anderson CMP Competition Center is open Tuesdays and Wednesdays from noon to 8 and Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And that, as I mentioned, is an 80-point indoor electronic target air gun range. And that is, anyone is welcome. When I say anyone is welcome to come to the range, anyone is welcome to come to the range. You don't have to have equipment. You're certainly welcome to bring your own equipment if you'd like, but we supply equipment to those who pay just the entry fee, which is a very low entry fee to use the air range. But we have several different varieties of air guns available. We also have air guns available for rent as well, if you need to do that. And we have pellets that you are able to use for these air guns. So just to kind of back up a little bit and explain what the air range is.
That was going to be my next question. Okay, now what's the difference between an air gun and any other kind of firearms?
Right. So an air gun is exactly as the name suggests, right? So it uses air to expel a lead pellet downrange. These are very quiet to use. They have no kickback whatsoever. They're perfect for individuals who just want to try out the sport in a more leisurely setting. Maybe for individuals who have certain ailments that keep them from using the more larger caliber firearms that you might be used to seeing. We have a lot of older individuals who come in just to shoot for fun. They'll bring their children or their grandchildren just to try something new. And as I said, this type of shooting is suitable for just about any age, as long as the individual is able to safely handle the air rifle or air pistol. We even host a junior club for youth who are interested in the sport, which is a very unique opportunity that we're very proud to be able to provide. We have a few of our staff members are former Division I NCAA rifle athletes, and they lead the club, so they know a thing or two about what they're talking about. So they're on hand during those open public times as well, and other trained staff members who are always there to answer questions. So really, the Gary Anderson CMP Competition Center is really for anyone. And the air guns can be used by just about anyone.
And from what I understand, that space is also available for groups or corporations to rent. How does that work?
Yeah, so you can really rent any part of the facility. You can rent the air range. You can rent the laser shot simulators that I mentioned briefly. Just explain a little bit more about those. Yeah. So they're simulators. So we have a room set up within the range it's more video game style. So we have rifles, pistols, shotguns that have been modified to basically be your video game controller.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah. So you point those at these large projector screens, and you use those to run through hundreds of different courses that are programmed into the simulators.
So is it like a live action situation, kind of?
Sort of.
A video game.
It's like a video game. Yeah, like any video game that you might see. Anyone can do it, of course. It's, you don't need ammo or anything like that. All you need to do is show up and point down screen and do your best. They're really hard. I'm telling you, I've tried them and they're so hard, but they're a lot of fun.
We were talking about the entire space being available for rent. There's also just like meeting rooms and things like that there as well.
That's right. And we also have a classroom that's available for rent. We have, as you walk in, there is a large common area. And that common area is available. We've had showers there. We've had baby showers, bridal showers, birthdays that you are able to just use that space if you'd like. And we've had other companies, businesses do sort of team bonding situations where they'll use the classroom or the common area. They'll go to the classroom and have like a little meeting of some sort, go to the common area and have lunch or a meal of some sort, and then go into the air gun range and host, like I said, more of a team bonding sort of experience where they set up kind of a fun competition and do that together. So we've had a lot of companies utilize that and different groups utilize that. And it's a really kind of a different, fun way to get everyone together in one place and do something fun.
Yeah, I could see that for team building, but I could also see that as a bachelor party or a bachelorette party or something like that, where you just want to do something, to have a little bit of fun, have competition, but then also, have the space there to eat and enjoy each other and that. So it's the civilian marksmanship program. I'm going back a bit, but can you tell us what are the benefits of marksmanship?
So even though it's not as much of a conventional sport as it may have been in the past, we really encourage individuals to give it a try because first and foremost, it's really a sport for everyone. given that essentially the only physical requirement is to be able to stand very, very still. It really opens the opportunity for individuals of all shapes and sizes to participate and be competitive amongst one another. That's why you see, men and women and like tall, short, all standing on the firing line together. And even you get, during our national matches especially, you get some of the best shots in the country on the firing line against someone who has just started. And it's really a space built, as I said, built for anyone. You don't have to be the tallest or the strongest or the fastest to be successful. All you have to be is stable. You have to concentrate and have a strong mental focus. Those are the key aspects of the sport.
And I would say it's a relatively accessible sport as well. I've seen some of the shooting where people are actually sitting down.
Oh, yeah.
Would you be able to do it like if you were in a wheelchair or something like that?
Absolutely. And that's something that we really encourage. This is a sport, and we also say it's a lifetime sport, meaning that you may have done it as a junior, and then as you get older and older, your body is not as strong as it used to be, or you might have certain ailments, as I said, of things that keep you from doing some of the things that you used to be able to do. And you are absolutely able to. We have different apparatuses and blocks and things like that stabilize. We have benches, tables that you are able to set your firearm down on, whether it's an air gun or if it is one of the larger caliber firearms out on our Petrarca range. We have those, like I said, those apparatuses that we offer to individuals who come in who may need a little extra help. Because, of course, safety is key. Safety is essential. And those pieces of equipment are helpful in making sure that is a safe space for everyone involved. And that you get to enjoy, like I said, enjoy something either you've never tried before or something that you've always done. That is just, this makes it just a little bit easier for you to enjoy still.
And you mentioned your staff, so you've always got a staff person there that will help with the safety aspect of it as well and make sure that you feel comfortable before you're doing any kind of shooting. When you mentioned your staff, you said some of them were NCAA college competitors. So this is actually something that a high school student could get a college scholarship for, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So this is an international sport. This is an Olympic sport. The sport of marksmanship in general dates back hundreds and hundreds of years. It was one of the original sports at the inaugural Olympic Games back in 1896. So that has since grown to 6 different shooting disciplines, including shotgun. So yeah, this is something that if you start as a junior, there are those plenty of opportunities for, first of all, just doing something that teaches you discipline and responsibility. If you join a club or a team, there's that chance to gain that teamwork and that socialization. The competitive shooting world is kind of a niche community. So many of our competitors, they know one another. It's a chance to make connections for individuals from around the country and around the world, since this is, like I said, a very popular international sport. And there are a certain amount of colleges within the United States that have club teams or NCAA rifle and pistol teams where you might have the chance to travel around the country to these different schools, but you may even also have these chances to travel internationally. It's definitely a sport. If you get involved and you really commit to it, you can travel all around the world. And as I said, there's even that chance to make it to the Olympic Games, which would be absolutely incredible. And if you are interested in moving on to marksmanship in college, to the NCAA level, we, the CMP, we are very proud to every year offer $1,000, $3,000, $5,000, and $20,000 scholarships to high school seniors who are involved in marksmanship activities.
Oh, wow.
So there are opportunities for us to help you in your future, whether it's in marksmanship or outside of marksmanship. And I should also mention that along with that, we also offer local scholarships to high school seniors who are close to our facilities. So that would be, anyone in the Port Clinton area, to Sandusky, maybe as far out as, Oak Harbor or, that sort of area. But even if you aren't involved in marksmanship, we offer local scholarships to whatever your future endeavor may be as well.
Wow. Well, I know it's really cool when the Olympics come around every 4 years. There's always kind of chatter that, oh, so-and-so, that's on the Olympic shooting team actually competed or competes regularly at Camp Perry, probably as part of the national matches. So let's talk a little bit about the national matches. So what are they? Who participates? And what can spectators expect if they're, just wanted to come and watch?
The national matches, like I said, have been a staple at Camp Perry since 1907. We hold them every July and August. There have been a few exceptions in there where we had to cancel during wartime. Not me personally, but during wars, when there was a war.
Hopefully not in the last decade.
But then we also had to cancel for COVID in 2020, of course, which was a bummer.
But you said July and August, so it's several weeks of competition.
It is a month-long, series of competitions. Yeah, there are several different phases. There's a rifle phase, there's a pistol phase, there's a variety of rifles within that as well. Small bore rifle, which is a .22 caliber rifle, and that's actually the type of rifle shooting that you would do if you moved on to college. You would do a combination of air rifle and small bore rifle shooting. So if that's something that interests you, the Camp Perry National Matches would be a great place to kind of get your feet wet in that. There is long range rifle and mid range rifle. So long range rifle is all the way out to 1,000 yards, and we are lucky to be able to host that at Camp Perry because there is a 1,000-yard range there. There is a variety of rifle events, whether it be service rifle, which is more of the modern type rifles, and there's also vintage rifles. As I said, we sell these vintage type rifles, and we cater matches to those rifles. So we have a variety of what we call our CMP games matches that we are able to bring in, and if you own those rifles, you can come in and use those at our competitions. So those are kind of some more fun events to do. And then we also have an air gun series of events that we do. We host within the air gun range. We have just a range of events from novice. So if you've never fired before, but you kind of just want to give it a try, the air gun range would be a perfect place to go in. As you said, we have those events where you can set your rifle on something fixed, a fixed bench, where you don't even really have to know much about it. Just kind of point it down range and pull the trigger. So we have events like that all the way up to our national airgun championships, which are for more the serious competitors. So just a little something for everybody, really.
So there are competitions during this several week period that are for professional shooters or professional marksmen, but there's also some competitions that are open to amateurs.
Absolutely. So I would really like to make clear, because I feel like this is kind of a confusing part for a lot of people who hear that we host the national matches. Even though it has national in the title, these are open to anyone. There's no qualifying phase or anything that you have to do. Oh. Really, all you need to do is sign up.
But it's national because people literally come from all over the country.
Yeah, even around the world. We do have some international people who will come and compete in our national matches, which is kind of a really cool thing.
That is very cool. Well, you always open the event with a lot of pomp and circumstance. So can you tell me a little bit about the first shot ceremony and if you know what's planned for this year?
Yeah, so the first shot ceremony is the official opening to the national matches. And that event has distinguished guests from the Ohio National Guard, from the CMP, sometimes state congressmen and women. But it's always capped by the quote-unquote first shot, which is fired by an honored guest. And this year's first shot ceremony will be held July 14th at 4:30 p.m. on Camp Perry, of course. And we're really excited. This year's first shot speaker will be Sergeant Sajan Madalena of the U.S. Army Marksmanship Unit. And for those who followed last summer's Paris Olympics, Sergeant Madalena earned the silver medal in women's 50-meter small bore rifle.
See, very cool.
Very incredible. And kind of like what you were saying before, we are especially proud of Sergeant Madalena because she has been, in the past, she was a member of the California Grizzlies junior high power team, which if you go to the national matches, that is one of our very popular junior teams that comes to the national matches every year. So we love to see that she went on to have this kind of level of success. So we're really excited to welcome her back and have her do this first shot.
That's very cool. So some of the competitors are on teams, like junior teams, senior teams, and literally, you said she's California? The team she was on?
Yeah, she was on, California. California Grizzlies is
cool.
Lots of junior teams from around the country that come to the national matches, yeah.
So how many competitors would you say come in for the national matches, and what does it mean to the Shores and Islands area to have all of those people in?
Let me just start by saying the national matches is a tremendous undertaking to plan. Our employees are pretty much working at the end of one national matches. They're pretty much already planning for the next national matches.
Of course,
right?
Yeah. It's an undertaking.
It really is. But I mean, we're happy to do it, of course. But it's a tremendous economic impact to the area. We bring in roughly around 4,000 competitors, coaches, and guests each summer who are coming in for these events. Like I said, it's a month-long event, so a lot of them are coming and going. Some of them stay through the entirety of the matches. But yeah, we bring a lot of visitors to the area during the summer months, which is great for the Shores and Islands community.
And those competitors, of course, they're spending the majority of their time at the competition center and at Camp Perry, but they're out and about in the community as well. They're staying in hotels. If they're driving, they're getting gas in their car. I'm sure they're going out to eat occasionally while they're here. So I mean, it really is providing a tremendous amount of economic impact to the region. And 4 or 5 weeks, I know people are just always thrilled to welcome, all of the competitors and their coaches and families and all of that to the area. But spectators are welcome to come in. Is there an admission fee or how do they know where to go, what to do if they decide they want to go check it out?
Yeah, so all of our national matches events are completely open to the public. You are allowed to come in at any time to view any of the matches. It is completely free. We have plenty of parking on site. We also have, outside of matches, I should also mention, if you want to come and just, like I said, if you just want to come and spend the day and see what we have going on. We also have something during the entirety of the national matches called Commercial Row, and that is an opportunity for anyone, whether you're involved, like I said, if you're involved in the matches or not, you can come in, and we have industry professionals who come in and they set up shop along an entire lane on Camp Perry. And it's just anything you can imagine as far as equipment or gear, anything that you might be looking for if you are interested in marksmanship.
It's kind of like a flea market.
It really is.
A retail area just filled with, all kinds of accessories.
That's a really good way of explaining it. There's that going on. And again, anyone is welcome to come on. And it's easy to get to. If you can get to Camp Perry, which is off of Route 2, and you see these 2 large stone towers at the entrance, all you do is turn down that road and go straight, and you can't miss it because everything is right there on base.
Is there a schedule of events somewhere, or so people know what kind of competitions they can go watch?
Yeah, so we have all of our entire calendar events on our website. There's a national matches link that you can click on, and it'll have all that information.
So let's talk about, the national matches, of course, are a big deal. And for 2 months out of the summer, obviously, like you said, is really kind of what you focus on all year round. But you also host some other events throughout the year. Do you want to talk about some of those?
We have so much going on throughout the year. It's really hard to keep up. If you go to our website, you're going to be like, what is happening here?
The calendar is very full.
It is quite full. Yeah. National matches is not the only thing we do. Sales is not the only thing that we do. We have a lot going on. So a few of the upcoming things that we do have at Camp Perry is we actually have in May. In June, we have some warm-up matches to those national matches. So if you're interested in joining or trying to do any of the competitions at the national matches, we have these warm-up events where you can come and fire on the same ranges that you're going to be firing on during the national matches. So,
but it's not a qualifying. It's not like you have to score a certain amount. It's just for you to get comfortable.
Exactly. Yep. It's just for you to come in and see what it's all about. So just kind of get a feel for it. And we have a long range warm up match on May 31st to June 1st. And we also have high-power rifle warm-up matches from June 27th to the 29th. If you are interested in doing those CMP games matches that I talked about, which is for the vintage rifles, we have a Garand Springfield vintage and modern military match on June 28th on Petrarca Range, so on those electronic targets, which is really nice because those electronic targets are really incredible. Those are our outdoor electronic targets, and they use sound to show the shot placement.
Oh, I was going to ask you that when you were mentioning the electronic, so it's not actually ammo flying.
Yeah, that one is.
Okay.
It always is. It's always ammo flying. So whether it's the air gun range, which, like I said, uses the lead pellets, okay, or one of the outdoor ranges that uses the higher calibers.
But it's the way that it's measured that's electronic.
Yes. Yep. So whether you're in the air gun range or you're outdoor on the outdoor range, both of though they're different target systems, within the air gun range, we use a company called Megalink, which is very well known within the air gun community. And outdoors, we use Kongsberg Target Systems, which is a company out of Norway. And they're different targets, but they are the same technology where as I said, they use sound. So there are microphones in different parts of the target itself. And when a bullet or a pellet pierces the target, the sound is able to capture where on the target that hit. That will instantly send that information back to an LED monitor that is placed next to each competitor on the firing line. So you can see right away where your shot hit. And essentially that's great for everyone involved, because if you are competing, then you don't have to worry about walking down range to change out the target faces, or you don't necessarily have to bring a scope with you because it's just right there on a monitor next to you. So it's a much more leisurely way of doing these competitions. And you also don't have to change firing lines. So a lot of our competitions, especially the rifle competitions, you have to change from maybe 200 to 300 to 600 yards. And you have to carry all of your equipment and move those target lines. But if we fire on electronic targets, which I should mention, we are very excited this year that all of our rifle matches at the national matches will be fired on our electronic targets for the first time. So we're really trying to promote that this is going to be just completely beneficial, as I said, because you don't have to worry. It gets really hot in the summertime, and these matches can take all day long. And so it's a lot for people to carry a bunch of equipment down to these ranges and sit in the heat and like I said, move firing lines. It can be a lot, no matter what age you are. So with the use of these electronic targets, we're able to speed up the matches. They go faster because we can, there's no changing of the target faces, as I said. So we completely eliminate that part of competing, which can take a lot of time.
It makes it a little bit more efficient.
It really does. Yeah. So we're really excited to have that. And as I said, if you want to try out those electronic targets, maybe you're not sure about them, we have those warm-up matches that are coming up. Outside of that, we also have our CMP 3-position air rifle matches that are coming up the end of June and in July. And that was a qualifying match. That's something that we hosted. We host every year. It started with the postal competition where we send these juniors who are from around the country, any junior who wants to compete in this match, we send them official targets that they fire at their home range, and then they mail them back to us for official scoring.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So then after that, they move on to regional events that we hosted in Ohio, Alabama, and we'll be hosting those in Utah. And after you qualify for that, you make it to the national event, which is what we'll be hosting at Camp Perry, like I said, in June and July. And that will bring roughly 500 juniors and coaches and their families into the area. So that's another one of those. Another
one that brings a lot of economic impact to the region.
It really does. Yeah, absolutely does. Yeah.
Now, are there classes and things that people can take out there to learn?
Sure. So we do offer the occasional classes. A lot of our classes that we do, we have something called a Marksmanship 101 course that we do for rifle and pistol. And those are at our, we do have those at the national matches. Actually, at the national matches, it's called the Small Arms Firing School. Those are perfect for anyone. So these small arms firing schools, they are taught by military marksmen or even members of the U.S. Army Marksmanship Unit. And that is classroom training as well as training on the firing line. As I said, you can, if you've never fired before, you're interested in rifle or pistol shooting, even small bore. We do small bore rifle as well. That lower caliber rifle that I had mentioned before. We have a small arms firing school for that. So if you want to stop out and do that, that is 1 or 2 days long, depending on which one that you sign up for. And it's like I said, you learn all the fundamentals of shooting in general, of marksmanship. You learn competition basics, and then you get to go out there and actually do it yourself with these, honestly, some of the best shots in the country right now, training you one-on-one on the firing line. So it's really a really unique opportunity that it's a lot of fun. And like I said, even if you have been in marksmanship for a long time, even your experiences, is just a great way to get out and learn some maybe some new tips that you didn't know before.
Do you have any kind of leagues or anything like that people can get involved in if they're within driving distance?
Yeah, so right now, we actually, one of the more exciting things that we have is we've partnered with Lake Erie Arms in Milan.
Oh, what a fantastic partnership.
Oh, it really is. If no one's been there, if your listeners haven't never been there and they're interested in marksmanship, you have to go there. it's just a mecca. They have firearm sales. They have, their high quality indoor ranges, a cafe, a world-class restaurant, cigar room. They have everything there. It's really a fantastic facility if you haven't been there. It's really cool. But anyway, we've partnered with Lake Erie Arms for a series of CMP leagues, which this past year we conducted a pistol league and a rimfire rifle league. So we'll be resuming those in the fall, I believe. And we may have some more leagues coming up with Lake Erie Arms throughout the rest of the year. So maybe keep an eye out for that.
That's amazing. So I love that you have both indoor and outdoor options, and you have the partnership with Lake Erie Arms. So you've got another, like a second facility basically in Milan. And this is a sport you can do year round. Pretty much any time of year. I do want to go back before we wrap up, Ashley, and talk again about Camp Perry and about the ability for people to stay there. Like, what accommodations are available, and is it generally just people that are there to use your facility, or do you get much guests that are just there because they're cute little cottages by the beach?
Well, it depends on what time of year you're there. If you're there for the national matches during that time of year, you're probably competing. Because I know that we have several competitors who will rent out, they know they're coming next year. They know they're coming for the next 5 years. They will rent those things out whenever they can. They
want to be as close as they can.
They want to be right on base. They want to get up because, some of these matches start 5:30 in the morning too. You have to be on the firing line. So it can be a lot. It can be a long day. So if you don't have to travel as far, it's obviously...
And nice to be able to go back to your, to your cottage or your room in between.
And you also, if you stay on Camp Perry, you have access to their beach, which is, oh my gosh, it's a beautiful beach. They have some of the best sunrises and sunsets on that beach that you can have along the coastline. It's just beautiful there.
It just happened to make me think of one more thing going back to any of your events, the national matches, or, even folks that are staying there. What about food? Do you guys have, concessions or restaurant or anything like that for the people that are visiting?
Yeah, that's a great question. And as I said, that does get difficult because Camp Perry is in its own little spot, and you do have to drive, to nearby Oak Harbor or Port Clinton most of the time to get, which, honestly, that's not a bad thing because there are some great options around too.
Well, and we don't mind people going out into the community. I'm just saying, if they're there for the day and they want to watch the competitions, do you have snacks available or things like that?
So it depends on the event. National matches, there are concessions available. There are a couple of food trucks that stay there throughout the national matches. We also have at our airgun range when we host airgun events, our parking lot, we have a couple of varieties of food trucks that will be there. Oh my gosh, they're so good. I spend all my money there.
I was just going to say, you probably really look forward to it.
Do. It's very nice to have that option there. But yeah, we'll have a couple of food trucks. Outside of that, there's the Postal Exchange on base, which is open to anyone. And I believe it's open to anyone. They have snacks there, drinks, chips, that kind of thing. And I believe there are vending machines on base as well if anyone has those kind of snacks. But right now, those are the options. I know that we've been... we understand that this is something that is important to people and important to us too, that our guests have access to this type of thing, because we know, as we talked about, it can be a really long day. It can be a long stay on Camp Perry. So we are in the works of trying to figure out how to get more food trucks and that kind of thing, more opportunities.
And then one more question about visiting for an event. Do you recommend that people bring a chair, or what's the options for spectators? Are people standing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So you definitely want to bring your chair or blanket, or we have individuals who will bring pop-up tents. And if you're going to be on the range all day, people will bring their own little pop-up tents.
Have a shady area?
Yes, because it is all Northwest Ohio flat out in the open. Nothing really to shade you. So if you are planning on staying for the day, or even if you're planning on staying for a little bit, I would definitely bring something. And one of the nice things, as I said, some of our matches will be electronic targets. So I think they'll all be at the 600-yard line. But it can be sort of a walk to get to these ranges, or get to where the competition is happening on these ranges. And we, through our partnership with the Ohio Army National Guard, are able to provide shuttle services to those who might be carrying equipment or might be carrying, their lawn chairs.
That's very nice, yeah.
Yeah, so you don't have to walk as far. We provide that for you.
Well, that's awesome, Ashley. Well, thank you for sharing all of this with us. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about as it relates to the CMP?
Oh gosh, we just have, as I said, so much going on all the time. I didn't even get to go into, we were talking about our facilities at Camp Perry, but we have several facilities in Alabama as well, if you happen to be down there. We have so much going on all year long. If you want to check out what we have going on, most of it, nearly all of it, because we are the Civilian Marksmanship Program and we are here to teach civilians about the sport, about safety. We always have something going on. So if you want to visit our website at www.thecmp.org, you can see all that we have, and it's going to be a deep dive for you. You're going to spend some time on there, but it's going to be completely worth it because we have just as I said, something for everyone, really.
And then one more thing, if you want to hear more of Ashley, you could go to the CMP website to listen to her podcast, which is just called the CMP Podcast. Is that correct?
Yeah, CMP Podcast, yep.
And where else is that available?
So you can get that pretty much anywhere you get podcasts, Apple Podcasts.
Same places you're listening to the Shoreline.
That's probably true, yeah. Yep.
I love it. So one more time with the website to get more information about the Civilian Marksmanship Program.
Sure. So it is www.thecmp.org.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Special thanks to Ashley Dugan from the Civilian Marksmanship Program and Camp Perry for joining us today. And thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss a minute of the action here in Shores and Islands, Ohio. You can also find more information, including past episodes of the podcast, online at shoresandislands.com. We'll see you next time on The Shoreline.